Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I have some sympathy cards to share with you today. Hey, so I'm using Jaded Blossom Spring Dies 2. They're Wishing You Comfort stamp set. They're triangle card mat dies. They're matte tag dies 3. They're sunflower dies, along with the winter banner dies. And I'm using Cartabella's Floral number 3 12-inch paper line. So first I have a piece of Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock cut at 4 by 5 1/4 inches. I applied some score tape to the front of it, and now I'm going to add on my diagonal card mat dies that were cut using my Anna Griffin Empress machine. So now I am going to add in my triangle pieces. This is my favorite way to use this triangle card mat die. It's just really simple. It's like doing a puzzle. And your pieces are stuck down so well with the score tape, it's perfect. And then you can add the whole piece to your card front like as one. So I made, I think, 22 of these sympathy cards using different patterns from this 12-inch paper line. And I've got my last piece to go in place, and then there we go. So that is my background, and I'm going to stick that down to my card front. That is a paper tray ink white cardstock cut at 4.25 by 11 and scored at 5.5 inches with my Martha Stewart scoreboard and my Teflon bone folder. Adding this card front with ATG tape. And there we go. And there's my card front. And I'm going to add a 1-inch strip to the inside. That's paper from that same Cartabella Flora number 3 12-inch paper line. And adding it about 1/4 inch from the bottom. And then I will trim off the overhang with a pair of scissors. There we are. And the idea that I'm going for here is I'm kind of going for a silhouette look. So I'm going to add my sentiment. That was stamped onto paper tray ink white cardstock with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink using my Misty, of course. And that is a sentiment from one of my favorite sentiment stamp sets, Wishing You Comfort. And now I'm going to add on my black sunflower. Remember, this is just going to look like a black flower. And I'm going to kind of have it coming in from one side here. Just got to figure out which way. There we go. And then I will add in my other pieces. Now this was cut from American Crafts black cardstock. And I'm just layering up the pieces. And the idea is like I said, I'm going for a silhouette look. Up close, you can see all the stitching and, you know, you have a lot more detail. But, you know, in the video, it kind of looks like just like kind of black. But the detail all shows in real life. And now I have little butterflies cut from vellum. And this vellum is shimmer vellum from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm just going to add in a couple of them with little dabs of glue. And just gluing the centers down so the wings, you know, have some air. And I just really like the look of these. I think they turned out really well for sympathy cards. I'm going to pull out this Sakura Jelly Roll pen. It's a sparkle pen, and I'm just going to add some antenna to one of those little butterflies. And next, we're going to stamp a sentiment on the inside of this card using a stamping tool here and VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. You know, my heart is with you in your time of sorrow. So this is another design that I did for this card set. Same little background, but this time I'm using paper tray ink craft cardstock, 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5 inches for a vertical A2 size card. I'm going to add that on. And on the inside, I'm going to do the same thing, add a little card mat that's 4 by 5.25 inches with some ATG tape. And then I'm going to add a 1-inch strip of paper from that same paper line, that Cartabella Flora number 3. And of course I didn't get it straight, so we lift it up again. There we go. And then I'm going to add, like I said, that 1-inch strip of paper. So on the front of this card, it's going to say, "Forever remembered, forever missed." And I'm trimming off the overhang with a pair of scissors. So I can't remember if I said, but I made 22 of these sympathy cards. So with the 3 various backgrounds. So for this one, I'm using the winter banner dies from Jaded Blossom. And I cut this out with American Crafts black cardstock. And I'm going to glue it down with my Barely Art glue. It's got that fine needle applicator, which is pretty handy when it comes to this little branch. So I'm going to add that to my card front. And I'll add my sentiment. So these are pretty flat cards, actually. And I like to have a bunch of these in my stash because you don't want to be making these when you need one. At least that's my opinion. Okay, so on the inside, I'm going to stamp a sentiment again. So I have 2 sentiments that I can stamp on the inside, all layered, depending what's on the front. So this one says, "Thinking of you and wishing you peace and comfort," I think. That's what it says. Of course, I can't see up close because I'm looking at a little screen as I'm editing here. Yeah, "Thinking of you and wishing you peace and comfort." So now I'm pulling out Ulta News enamel dots in Essential Black and White, and I'm going to add some black enamel dots to this little piece. Now, I could have used Nouveau Crystal drops and added them, let them dry. You know, whatever you want to do, you can do. You could add them in paper if you wanted to, right? But I just thought this is simple and easy, and I've got a bunch of these little enamel dots that I can use. So I figured, what the heck, right? So I added a little bit of glue to each one first, you know, just to make sure that these little dots stick. I'm using a penknife to pick them up off the acetate. And, you know, like I said, Bob's your uncle. This makes a really fast little background here. Now, when I'm making sympathy cards, I like to kind of use some sort of flora, you know, or fauna, some sort of greenery with butterflies or birds. That's kind of what I go for. There we go. And now I'm going to add on like one of these butterflies. That is from Jaded Blossom's Spring Dies 2. Just gluing the center down, remember. And I don't really mind if it shows through a little bit because I'm just gluing the center down. Oops. You're going to want to, you know, make sure it's stuck down well. And there we go. I really like the big butterfly on that one. So now I'm going to make one last, or show you the last design. So adding a 1-inch strip to the inside of this card from that pattern paper that I mentioned before, trimming off the overhang with a pair of scissors. There we go. This is Paper Ink white cardstock again. 4.25 by 11, scored at 5.5 inches. And this is my background made with that triangle card mat die. We go. And when I'm making a bunch of these, I like to make a big grouping of them, you know, kind of assembly line style. And that's what I did this time. So I've got my sentiment with love and remembrance. And I am using the large sunflower die on this one. So this was cut out of American Crafts black cardstock again. So I'm just going to get this all set up. So this is the large sunflower die. So I'm sticking down my little stem first. Then I will overlap it with my sentiment that was stamped with VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink. There we go. So I'll have these sentiments sort of set up in my MISTI, and I'll just keep stamping. I just find that that's the easiest way to stamp a bunch of sentiments, get it all done, and then I just assembly line it, right? So now I'm going to add in my black flower here. So this is, going for a silhouette look is what I was going for. And I'm going to add that on. I do cut 2 layers just so I could get, a full flower. Add the center as well. And then I'm going to add in, I do weight it down in between with an acrylic block. And now I'm going to add in my little butterfly. Again, cut from that shimmer vellum, which is kind of pretty. It adds a little bit of shimmer to these cards. I'm going to add a couple of butterflies to this guy. And I'm going to hold down the center with that reverse tweezer there just to make sure it's stuck down well. And I'm pulling out my Sakura Jelly Roll pen. This is that sparkle pen, and I'm just going to add in some little antenna on these guys. So you can only really see it when you're close up and you look. It's got like a glittery little look to it. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment on the inside again using my Misty. These are great for, assembly lining a bunch of cards. There we are. And, you can stamp it multiple times. And that's what it looks like. So now I'm pulling out my, what's it called? My Nuvo Crystal Drops in Ivory Seashell. And I'm going to add some strategic droplets. Remember, you're going to want to let these dry. You want to let them dry. Keep your fingers out of there. So when I use this, I make sure that the nozzle is clear, and I actually put them in my pocket to warm them up so they flow nicely. So you get some nice domed droplets. And I basically added it to all of my cards. And it just adds a little bit of shine without any dimension, really. And, it looks pretty. So these are a bunch of more feminine Sympathy cards, I think. But I think that they turned out pretty well. So there we go. And now I'm going to show you a bunch of these cards that I made. So these are the 3. There we go. And we're going to keep going and going and going. So you can sort of pop up the wings. And I think that they turned out quite well. They've got a nice calm look to them. And, you can add them to your stash. And you'll be all set the next time something terrible happens, right? So there we go. Lots and lots of cards with these ones. I love making little vellum butterflies for these. They just look so pretty. And there we go, like so many cards, right? Like I said, 22, I think, in all. So there we go. And isn't that lots of fun, I think? Well, thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog and be inspired by the team, the Jaded Blossom store, to get your hands on these amazing products. And thank you, as always, for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. You want to make sure you are a follower over at the YouTube site for Jaded Blossom and my YouTube site, Lee Kubinick. And hit that bell so you are a subscriber and you'll be, notified when a new video comes live. So thank you, and we will see you soon in my next video. Bye, everybody.